And we are live.
Awesome. Put Danye right there, front and center.
All right. People are coming in. Hello, I smell.
I just got the cue that it's live, so
Yeah. Yeah, we're live.
awesome.
Okay. We'll let some people roll in here. But in the meantime, we can just admire this setup here. It's always stunning. And, obviously we got a new addition front and center, which is what we're talking about today, at least primarily.
And you've got yours,
I sure do.
and I've got mine.
Yeah. Got it right here. All right.
And I've got two cameras going, so that's why I'm holding it up for the other one.
Oh, okay, cool.
So this is Danye. There's several different pronunciations of Danye, the name. So because this is based on the artist series off of Gustav Klimt's work, and he's Austrian, and they put the double dot over the e's, Danye. But in Greek mythology and Italy and other enunciations of the word or pronunciation, it'd be Danai,
Yeah.
just not Danny. It's not. It's hard to get it wrong, but if you'd say Danny, then it's definitely wrong.
Danny, yeah. No, I can see someone doing that here in the States for sure. Okay, well, for those of you, well, first of all, hello everyone, welcome. Um, I would imagine many of you are familiar with Argos Fragrances and or with Christian Petrovich, the CEO, creative director, and perfumer of the brand. I've talked about their fragrances many times. I did recently do a review on the newest called Danye, which we will be talking about a little bit more in depth today. But for those of you who happen to not know who this fine gentleman is, not me, but the other guy on the other side, Christian, why don't you give us a little just brief backstory on who you are and what Argos is and kind of where you're at today with it?
Sure. Yeah, Argos was really started back in 2014. I was making private label fragrances for just one customer initially, and it's grown quite a bit, especially in the last 2 years here with the release of the Italian line, the
Mm-hmm.
Triumph Bacchus, Provita della Caccia, and the Baccio Immortale. So now I think we're in 37 countries. We're probably at around 40 boutiques all over the world. We're probably in every continent. So it's getting out there. And then with this newest release, we've gotten a ton of new requests as well. So hopefully in 2022, we'll even be in more regions like Russia and Turkey and Morocco and some of these other hard to reach places that are difficult to ship, dangerous goods, fragrances to. So
Sure.
again, started in 2014, private label, made several fragrances for my first customer. He happened to be Greek. I love
Mm-hmm.
Greek mythology. I love art history. At one point in time, I wanted to be an archaeologist. Watching Indiana Jones growing up, it was just, it was one
Mm-hmm.
of those cool things that I'd always wanted to do when I was a kid, but ended up going to med school. and then,
Okay. Yeah.
but I modeled and I acted and I was in fashion industry for 20 years. So it wasn't really like I was completely out of the fashion world. And this was just something that fell in my lap. I learned a lot of things, made a lot of connections along the way. So it was great to launch my own brand and be able to integrate Greek mythology, Roman mythology, art history now with a new line with the artist series, and then fragrance. It was a no-brainer for me, and it's just worked out great. And I love it. I can't wait for the new fragrances to come out and some of the new series that we'll talk about. It's exciting for me, and I see a lot of people enjoying it as well. So that's kind of the backstory on everything up from where I started to here, the
Yeah.
short version, because I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
I can talk quite a bit.
No, I think that was masterfully summarized for sure. Yeah, so obviously the brand has grown quite a bit. For the last couple years, we've been talking about the Italian mythology line, as you had mentioned. We're talking about, Triumph of Bacchus, which I'm still blown away by how dark this thing has gotten. It's really just kind of enriching just by sitting in the
Yeah.
dark. And then, of course, stuff like Brivido della Caccia, which is still in the running, I think, for my favorite of the three. It's always
It's
neck
the
and
one I
neck.
wear the most in the cooler
Yeah,
weather of the two,
yeah,
even though, I think Triumph of Bacchus is a quicker reach for me.
yeah.
Vita is more of a situational, but I love it. It's just so masculine. It's got great oomph. It's with that
Yeah,
juniper berries, that sharpness, that
it's
little bit
very
of
sharp.
green earthiness with that mate.
Yeah,
And just the green leather accord that's in there. It's a beautiful fragrance. It's very masculine. I love it.
yeah, man. I love the sharpness. It's almost mouth watering, not in an edible way, but just
It has
that
a brightness to it
it
as well.
does.
It's not
Yeah,
really dark animalic. I call it more green, green,
to-
earthy, kind
totally.
of seductive. And of course, the name in Italian means the thrill of the chase,
That's
playing
right.
on several different meanings. Obviously, the man chasing the woman and the thrill of that with this fragrance,
Yeah.
hopefully enhancing his chances of catching the lady. And
Yes.
also the Greek mythology story where the hunter is going through the woods and is turned into a hunter, ripped apart by his own hound dog. So it's cool to play with those double meanings.
Yeah. And I think it all comes through in the scent itself, which is awesome. You can just smell the story in a way. And of course, Baccio Immortale is just honestly to date has one of the most authentic raspberry notes I think I've smelled. It's just beautifully tart. It's still kind of juicy, but not overly sweet. And how it mixes with that leather and that saffron, it's just like
Yeah,
it's
and
prime.
completely unisex 50/50.
Yeah,
I wore it the other day. My wife wore it on the way to work today. It's got good power to it. I mean, it
yeah,
lasts. It's got I know on me it's probably 10 hours. If I get it on my lapel or my jacket, I'm smelling it the next day.
yeah.
That sweet raspberry, it's not synthetic coming off at all or
No,
waxy. It's just it plays right into that story as the kiss in the kiss of immortality,
yeah, man, totally agree.
which is what the
So,
name means, Baccio
yeah,
immortality.
immortal kiss, yes. So, I know people are here for the main event, which is Danye. So I kind of want to dive head first into this. And I purposefully, in my reviewing of the fragrance, I did not go very deep into the lore behind it and the story and the inspiration. I wanted to kind of leave that to you. But so I figured we'd start at the surface and work our way down. So let's start with this box.
Yeah,
And we obviously have the artwork here. So how about you tell us a little bit about, I mean, what are we seeing on this box
yeah.
kind of
This
all the way around?
The artwork on here on this outer box is custom. It's based on Gustav Klimt, obviously his artwork, and it was one of his more famous pieces, the Tree of Life. If you'll see in the background, those are kind of from the Tree of Life.
Nice.
If you're familiar with some of his work, like the Beethoven Frieze and some of his other things, the Kiss, Gargoyles, he's got so many great works. And what's interesting about Gustav Klimt, I actually love some of his more realistic work that he did when he first started. But then he kind of got into some surrealism and he had a whole different kind of movement, which brought him more notoriety. And that's what we featured with the artist series because he really got more into the Greek mythology, not just with the realism, but with the symbolism and the meaning behind it, which we'll go into here in a moment as it pertains to Argos and what I'm trying to do with integrating great artists in time and the works that they've done inspired by Greek and Roman mythology. And they've created great works, and I've been able to integrate those into mine as well. So you got the Tree of Life, and then you've got Danye here. And Danye is actually re-rendered. I re-rendered this completely, so now she's more covered. She's got more color. She's more vibrant than the original. And we've actually redone that on the plate as well. So we took that two-dimensional rendering that I did. We got it, turned it into an STL file. I had a 3D artist re-render it so that we can make the plate. And then I hand paint these with a needle. So each one of these, all the colors that you see in there is actually put on there by hand. It's not printed on there. It's not put into some machine that does it. Those are all put in there by hand, and then they're baked in a kiln to make it cure. And that solidifies the paint that you see. So in this rendition, and in Gustav Klimt's rendition, it's different actually. She was a popular subject by many artists. I had the open house at the Scent Room, and I was able to explain it a little bit more. But Rembrandt has done it. Titian has done it. Even
Mm-hmm.
Picasso did a rendering of Danier in
Mm.
different ways too. What's cool about the one with Gustav is he's really focusing on the Greek mythology version of the story, where King Acrisius was king of Argos at the time, and he never had a son, but he had a daughter, Danier,
Mm-hmm.
the most beautiful woman in the world. So he went to the oracle to find out when he would have a son. He went to the oracle. The oracle said, "No, you're never going to have a son, never going to have a male heir. However, your daughter is going to have a son, and your grandson is going to grow up and he's going to kill you."
Mm. Yeah.
So he locked her away in a bronze tower. Zeus, I didn't stop Zeus. He shone down in a golden light, and she became impregnated. And you know how risque some of the Greek mythology
Yes.
were. So I'll save some of the details.
Yeah.
But she eventually did have a son, and that would be Perseus, and one of the greatest heroes of all Greek and Roman mythology, which is going to lead us into some other stories and other fragrances coming up. So I thought that was an awesome way to start the artist series with Danier. It's not really talked about. Not many people know about it. It was something that I knew about, and I really wanted to start the artist series with the story of Danier.
Yeah.
So the story does come to fruition. Perseus does grow up, and he's invited to actually participate in one of the first Olympics. And he's doing the discus event. And King Acrisius is much older now. He just happens to be visiting where the games are taking place. And Perseus is so strong, he throws the discus out of the arena. And King Acrisius just happens to be walking by and gets hit in the head with the discus and is therefore killed. So the oracle's prophecy came true. It wasn't something that Perseus grew up and wanted to take revenge, even though his mother and him were thrown out to sea to be killed. It wasn't a story of revenge at all. It was just one of those things that if the oracle says something's going to happen, it happens.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Wow.
That was a cool story right there as it pertains to the artwork that I chose with Gustav Klimt. But what I really like is, in the Middle Ages, like Rembrandt and Titian and some of the artists, when they redid this, they figured, these Greek mythology stories are beautiful. There's no way these could have been inspired. The Greeks just had it wrong. There's no such thing as Zeus and Poseidon and all these Greek and Roman gods. They must have been inspired by God himself to write these beautiful poems and stories. And they'd actually read Metamorphosis by Ovid, which they read about Danier. And so when they rendered their versions of Danier, they have Danier nude lying there with the gold coming down on her, but they also put in the background either a handmaiden or an assistant or
that's right.
And they're reaching up trying to steal that gold that's coming down. And it's, in some renditions, it's actually gold bullion and coins. And it's to symbolize the inner struggle that we have every day as humans between worldly and earthly goods and amassing a fortune here and having an honest, open, naked relationship with God. So it was just such a cool play on the new rendition that Rembrandt did and Titian and several other artists, how they took that meaning and they repurposed it in a more Christian-like way. But they still gave it meaning and they still created great works based on Danier.
Wow. Yeah. I would love for us to kind of dive into, in terms of Danier as a figure and the story surrounding her and the scent. Can you tell us what you were trying to put in a bottle in regards to Danier?
Well, it had to catch lightning in a bottle with this one. No pun intended.
Yeah.
All pun intended, actually, with Zeus. It had to be something that was sensual. It had to be something that had, some. The story is so sexy in the Greek mythology, Roman mythology version, and so it had to be a little bit risque as far as that. I wanted something that was unisex, and I think some people were expecting a floral fragrance having Danier on the cover, a female. They figured this might be a feminine scent, but that wasn't the story. Danier is the subject matter of the story, but it's really the meaning behind it, and it's the interaction, and then having Zeus involved as well. So it is a unisex fragrance. But, it starts out with that bright bergamot and that Sicilian lemon, which is a little deeper. It's not as citrusy as some people might think, as just a lemon would be, or like orange or some of these other citrusy notes. And then you've got some spiciness in there. I wanted some spiciness, but I also wanted to highlight some woods in this as well. I wanted to give it some depth, but some blonder woods, not some deep woods, not some agar woods, not any of the ouds or anything like that. again, it was something that was kind of a sexy story, something that's unisex. But I also was, when I was making Triumph of Bacchus, you know, I was working with some patchouli when I was making that fragrance, and it actually opened up. Every time I make a fragrance, it kind of opens up my eyes and my nose and my palate to some other different ingredients. Even if I don't particularly use that one in Provita Delicaccia or, you know, Baccio Mortale, I learn and I find other ingredients that I want to use in future fragrances. So the patchouli was something that I had discovered when I was working on Triumph of Bacchus. Now, patchouli can be spicy, it can be kind of sweet. And then cistus was another thing as well that I had happened upon. And that kind of gives it that sticky, sweet, but resinous, deep. And I think you mentioned something of a rubbery feel. This fragrance does have somewhat of a texture to it. And it is very rich. It's a very warm, sensual, spicy, sticky, sweet. I mean, I can give it a lot of adjectives, but I think it plays into that story, which to me, the moment that I'm capturing is the climactic moment in the fragrance, which is a little X or R rated, if you will. But, you know, that was the whole point of catching the essence of Zeus in the bottle.
Yes.
In the story. It wasn't so much, you know, the story of the Christianity or the battle between earthly goods and the relationship with God or Perseus or anything like that. It was really just the moment that you see on the bottle when she's actually in that moment with Zeus.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, and for those who've smelled it, I know there's a few people here in the chat who are saying, like, I smelled it, it's fantastic. I see Ross is here in the chat, TLTG. I think it really does capture that moment, that feeling, that sensuality, but having a robustness to it. I feel like the robust nature, like from those woods, is like, for me, is like the presence of Zeus, you know. But that soft, sweet, warm, kind of succulent nature that's on the smoother side, almost silky in a way. I mean, I smell this picture when I smell
it does
that.
have a creaminess to it. But it is so smooth. It's warm, but it's not overly warm. It's spicy, but not overly spicy. It's fresh, but not too fresh. And it's got the depth with the woods. But again, like I said, the blonder woods.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing fragrance, how it's all come together. And this was one that took 2 years as well. And when I initially had blended it, was more of a yellowish color, and it kind of got a little darker, a little deeper, but still gave off that goldish color. Which felt well with the artwork. And we don't put dyes or anything unnatural in these fragrances to kind of steer them in one direction or the other.
Sure.
We just, you know, we give it some time. These are all blended 6 months before they're bottled.
Yeah.
So I know some of you have noticed the Triumph of Bacchus getting redder and deeper and darker. We've already had this particular batch 6 months in maceration, blending with no lights.
Yeah.
Away from the world. So,
yeah. I mean, it shows.
You know, I've always said too, you know, the blending, the maceration, and the time and effort and everything that goes into just getting that juice ready is the secret fifth ingredient that, you know, a lot of people don't talk about.
Yep, I totally agree. Well, Christian, I think now might be a good time. I'm thinking we can sprinkle in some little sample pack giveaways as we go. And now might be a good time. The first one, I was thinking, you know, you explained a lot of the mythology just a few minutes ago, and I was wondering if there is maybe one aspect you wanted to pinpoint from what you explained to kind of ask as a trivia to see if anyone remembers.
Yeah, and they might actually, you know, there might be some Greek mythology, Roman mythology aficionados out there that know. I guess we could say. Let's do like a little quiz here. Who was the one that actually rescued Danae and Perseus from drowning at sea?
Okay.
So I guess you're getting everybody's feed and they're typing it in.
Yes.
Just the first person.
The first one to answer that question. Can you repeat it one more time just for clarity's sake?
Who actually say now, King Acrisius, after he found out that Danae had a son, had a baby, they locked her in a chest and threw her out to sea, and she was rescued. But who rescued her actually?
Okay, I see Frag Dude 85 put Dictys. DICTYS.
You might be going a little bit too in
Yeah,
depth on that one.
Yeah, I see a few of those coming in of that same name. I see Cam said fisherman. Samuelito said Aphrodite. But we're seeing a lot of Dictus.
This one is, and that person, that's later. That's after they're already out.
I see Nat says Argos. Briley says Poseidon.
Poseidon. We'll go with
Poseidon. Okay.
Yeah, Zeus told his brother to kind of guide their casket at sea to this island. So the people that were saying the other gentleman's name, that's later on. But yeah, it was Poseidon that guided the casket to the island.
Got it. Okay. So Briley Torres.
I wanted to make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sea.
Yeah. So Briley Torres, at least in my feed here, I know sometimes there can be discrepancy between what you guys see on YouTube and what I see here on StreamYard. But on StreamYard, I see Briley Torres was the first one to write Poseidon. He did misspell it, but that's okay. We know what you meant, Briley. That's so, Briley, how about I'm going to type in my email address, and you can email me at any point, and then I will connect you to Christian, and we'll get you that sample pack. So great job, Briley.
We'll do another trivia. We'll do another.
Yeah, we'll do at least one more before we finish up here.
So we can talk a little bit about the bottle too and some of the upgrades.
Yeah, that's the next thing I want to talk about is, we talked about the artwork, but let's talk about the technology behind these bottles.
There's a lot of work that goes into this bottle. It's a beautiful hand polished bottle, and you can actually hold it now.
It's a tight fit.
The first couple pulls off and on are going to be kind of snug. It is a full metal cap, so even the neck is full metal now, not even just the top. So the whole thing is metal. We do have the crystal that's in the eye as well now.
Yeah, that looks so beautiful.
Some of the earlier versions of the the Triumph of Bacchus and Baccio and Brevito, they didn't have the crystal. We started integrating that in to the plates and the cap. I think it was sometime around August of this year actually. So now everything that's coming out will have a crystal on the 30 mLs as well. So you can actually see the 30 ml version right here.
Yeah.
Exactly like the 100 ml. There is one small difference, and we'll get into that. That would be the plate or the sticker that talks about the fragrance on the mat. It's just too small to put with that on the inside of the 30 ml. Mm-hmm. But we do have that on the it's hard for me to show it, but we do have it on the 100 ml.
Yeah, that's it.
And what I really wanted to do, not only have something that was aesthetically pleasing behind that metal plate, as you know, before we had a coating, so you never got that unattractive glue or that bumpiness from the plate, and you never saw that at an Argos fragrance. But we wanted to take it a step further because it was so hard for me to get all these plates painted. I needed to, give more space to that artwork on the front, and that's what we did. We put more information on the back now that you can see through on the back side of the plate. And it's a metal sticker detail that's in there that's especially waterproof and everything. So there's a lot of technology, and there was a lot of trial and error. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do that because I had several different type of decals that I used, and they just didn't turn out right. They got air bubbles in them, and they didn't stick, and it was just a mess. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, but we finally found a manufacturer that was able to do that for us. So, good luck with anybody trying to counterfeit this out there. There's a lot of work that goes into this bottle. Not only thick and hand polished, this weighs over a pound. It does have the Argos name on the base, just like it did before. The recessed plate. So, and again, I spoke about this being painted. So we actually use needles.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Like a watercolor, the base and everything. It's got a little bit of thickness to it, but it's kind of like a watercolor. And then once we bake it, it cures. And then
how much would you say each plate? How much time does a plate take, would you say?
I probably put about between putting the crystal in and the painting, just physically with me, not even counting the time where it's in the kiln and it's curing, I would say 25 minutes.
Per plate. Plate. That adds up.
Try doing 500 of these.
Yeah, that's 2 per hour at best.
So and then we got the crystal. We actually drill those and then we inlay the crystals. We're going to be I'm not sure what it's a Swarovski crystal. I think it's a Colorado shimmer or something effect one, but we're going to be expanding the crystal line as well. So you might get a different crystal than somebody else, but they're going to look beautiful. They're going to match each other. And when we put them on there, they're not going to be mismatched, but we've got some cyan, some reds, some shimmers,
cool.
blue, some aquamarine, some greens and stuff. And they're going to play off of the color that's on the plate, the purple, the blue, the gold. So they're going to look great. It just kind of makes it a little bit more, unique, and it's more personable as well.
Yes.
So, and then we also went with a matte gold cap, which is different than the
love that
gold, which is a little more shiny. If you see these up close to each other, you'll see that the Triumph of Bacchus has the shiny finish, and now we've kind of gone with a more beautiful, elegant matte finish, which really plays with the line too. It's kind of sexy, sultry.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of an air of mystique to it, honestly. It's not like so flashy, and nothing wrong with flashy, but I agree, it really does suit.
It's classy.
The vibe. Yeah, totally.
The atomizer too. So when you open this up and you've got the matching collar and the matching sprayer. So now we've got the same technology that we put in there I think we got it in right before Christmas of last year on the 30 mLs, which has the pressure sensitive atomizer. So you pump it a little bit, you press it down a little bit, you get a little bit of a spray, but it doesn't matter if it's a little push or a big push, you're going to get a nice, evenly dispersed spray of fragrance. It kind of micro-ionizes little tiny particles. So you're going to get some more of the middle, the heart, and you're going to get some more of the base or the end notes when you get that first spray. So you're actually getting a slightly different experience than some of the atomizers out there that just have the typical, spray with the larger droplets.
Yes. Yeah. Much finer mist.
Yeah. So it's interesting when people get that first spray now, with this atomizer versus another atomizer where they might have just gotten some of the, the top notes first. Yeah. You're going to get a whole picture quicker with this pressure sensitive atomizer. I'm going to try to spray it without making a mess. Let's see if I can get a.
Yeah, you got a nice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know if you can see that. But
yeah, totally. Very fine, but wide.
And it carries. It's not like something that just big water droplets.
It doesn't fall. Yeah.
I don't tell people to just spray it up in the air and walk through it, even though you could do that with this one. But if you get a breeze or if you got your AC on, it's going to blow it away. So you can still hold it where you're going to spray it, and you can control it now more as well. So if you want a smaller little spray under your collar, then you don't have to push it all the way down on that first spray.
Totally. I know you had talked about making efforts to minimize the amount of contact that the fragrance has with metal in regards to spraying it. Can you talk a little bit about the mechanism with how you did that?
Yeah, there's a couple other cool things too that I keep forgetting. There's so many little things that I just gloss over now because I've already put so much thought and effort into them in the past. And most people might not appreciate it or even notice it, but you don't even see the atomizer when you're holding it up and you're looking at it straight. Most fragrance,
you can see it dip down.
You're going to see the bottom of the pump on that atomizer inside. And I wanted to completely hide that within the collar.
Yeah.
It's not very attractive, and it can block some of the some of the wording and lettering and information that I have now inside the bottle. So we've completely condensed that pump into a smaller, half the size pump, and we've sheathed the fragrance as it comes up. So we don't have a stainless steel ball bearing in there. We replaced that with glass.
Yes.
The fragrance is sheathed as it comes up, and it gets dispersed through the atomizer. So you're having less contact with metal now. If you use the right surgical grade kind of metal, it's not going to have as much interaction, but you still have the risk of having that fragrance over time start, interacting with that fragrance and that metal kind of breaking down and kind of mixing with the oil and kind of changing the smell a little bit. So I wanted to reduce that as much as possible.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's really just thoughtful. As you said, some people may not even notice. Even if they do, they may not really appreciate it. But when you understand the reason why, it's like, oh, yeah, that's just really thoughtful. You didn't have to do that when most people aren't. So that's really appreciated.
If I want to get people's attention onto some of the details on the inside of the metal plate on the back, I don't want it to be hindered. Now, we've also got a crystal dip tube. So once you make that
That's
first
right.
spray and that air is drawn out and the fragrance is drawn in, the tube disappears. Now,
Pretty
if you
much.
look really, really hard, you'll see it. It's almost like, what is it, the Predator?
Yeah, when it's like that
When it moves, you can see them
camouflage. Yeah,
type of deal. So, but
it's
you
true.
do not see it if you're just looking straight through,
Yeah,
unless you kind of move it a little bit. But it's all part of that clean, clear aesthetic and being able to see things unhindered.
it's a great touch. Really a great touch. Again, very small, thoughtful things that do have a large impact overall when they work together, I think. Now, you had mentioned Danye being a part of the artist series, and it looks like we're dealing with, it says one. So this is our first release. Can you talk a little bit about your intention with the artist series and kind of where you see that going moving forward?
It was a natural progression. I think I was sitting in the scent room talking with Deborah about a year and a half ago, and I knew in the back of my mind that I was going to do this, and I kind of let it out a little bit that I was going to go in this direction. But some of the things that have influenced me, obviously, not just the Greek stories, some of the artwork, some of the, stuff, Rome, statues, and it just, there's so many facets that I could go in different directions with the poems and the statues and the paintings. I wanted to highlight the artists, their artwork, and the story, and the fragrance. So I wanted to integrate them all into one. So now, obviously, I chose Gustav Klimt. I've been a fan of his. I loved his work, but I didn't realize he had so much based on Greek mythology until I delved into it a little bit more. So it was perfect. He was a great starting point, especially with the new artwork that we did on the plate. And I didn't know. It wasn't something that I'd ever done before. Now, I've painted before, and I've drawn, and I've done my own artwork, but I've never painted a little metal plate like that before. So it was something that I had to learn. The second one in the series, I'm trying to think if I want to tell people this one.
Tell whatever you feel at liberty to tell.
We might use that as a question for a sample pack. So I guess the question would be, what would people think that the next Greek or Roman subject matter would be as part of the artist series? Still Gustav Klimt. So, to say the name of a story, say the name of a god or goddess or demigod or monster or whatever you think would be the next subject matter, and we can go into it after you've got a couple answers.
Sure, yeah. So you guys go ahead and see, let us know what you think is coming next. In the meantime, I have a couple things to address here. Tony Tavares asked the question about the pump and the sprayer and all that. He said, with the addition of the glass ball bearing and crystal dipstick, will that make the materials more fragile and more prone to damage?
No, and when I say crystal dip tube, it's not actually a crystal glass dip tube. It's a different type of plastic material. You're not going to get the typical opaque type of plastic. This is something that they've actually, it's a heating process, and the way they're manufacturing it, it's thinner, it's not as opaque, and once it has the fragrance through it, after the air is out, you don't see it. So it's not something that's going to break, and that glass ball bearing is not going to break, trust me, unless you smash that bottle on the ground. That'll be the last thing that probably breaks. So no, it doesn't hinder or change it at all as far as the structural capacity of it. It's not going to break.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, just you be reasonable with your bottle. Don't be tossing it around and throwing it with your friends.
Now,
You'll be all right.
I will give one caution. Now that we have the full metal cap, okay, and this is thick glass, this is heavy glass. I dropped this and it hardly even chipped, which surprised me because it's so heavy. And that was on tile. It actually cracked the tile. Don't slam the cap down, okay? Just use your judgment. Be gentle with it. Now, if you buy, some King Louis or expensive bottle of brandy or something, you're not going to take that crystal top to that decant and slam it on the top. You're going to gently put it on there.
Exactly.
The same rule and caution should apply to this. Now that you've got a metal collar, you're not going to want to slam it on the top of this glass.
That's right.
It's going to be metal on glass. So
that's right. Good point.
Putting it on. And again, I did make these tighter because I didn't want people picking it up by the cap. And I don't ever recommend people do that anyways.
Yeah.
But you know, it happens. People don't think, they just quick grab for something, and I didn't want to have them dropping it because of that. But after the first couple on and offs, it does loosen up, and it still clicks in place. So
Okay. Wonderful. And I do see a number of people mentioning on the here that Danye is sold out on the website.
yeah, Danye
Um,
sold out. I think about 6 o'clock this morning. We had the last couple orders came in.
yeah. And just so the people know, is there plans to bring back another batch?
Yes, Danye will be back. I'm hoping before Valentine's Day.
Okay. Wonderful. And as I mentioned in the promotion of this little interview here, we do have some value to offer to one lucky person. Again, we did a giveaway on Instagram, which we'll get to a little bit later, and we'll announce the winner of that. But there is one person here who will get basically one of the last current bottles of Danye, which is by nature now a very valuable bottle because you can't really buy it right now. So more on that later. So we have quite an array of answers to your question. So I'm just going to start reading them down, and we'll see who gets close. I see TLTG had to run. See you later. Okay. Kevin Mitchell says Roman or Caesar. San Melito says Hercules. N says Iliad. Chris Englade also says Hercules. CT Sounds says Odysseus. Tony Tavares, Odysseus. Hot Review. Pontius Pilot.
Okay.
Yeah. Frag Dude 85, Caligula. N says Cyclops. Adam says Hercules. Rudy Torres says Athena. Cam.
Okay. Was that the first one that said Athena?
The first one to say Athena.
Okay, then they're the winner.
Okay, so, Rudy Torres.
I just want to say too, that sample pack that they get is now the 6. It has 6 samples.
Oh, you do get Danye.
So they're going to get the Danye sample card in there.
Oh, cool.
So you get the presentation that's on the box basically, and then you get the 2 ml mini spray. So now we've upgraded our sample pack. Anybody who purchases a sample pack now will get all 6.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so you guys can still sample it, even though the bottles are currently sold out. You still might be able to sample it, and then when it's ready later on, you can go ahead and scoop you up a bottle if you dig it. It's funny how both of the sample pack winners have the same last name of Torres.
Really?
Yeah. So Rudy, once again, yeah, it's like you guys are brothers or what's going on here. But my email address, which I'll type here again, it's thestayfreshproductions@gmail. You send me an email, I'll connect you with Christian and get you that sample pack. Yeah, Rudy says no relation. All right.
Athena is correct. So the next one in the artist series as it relates to Gustav Klimt and that artist is called Pallas Athene. So when Gustav Klimt decided to get away from the realism that he was doing into some surreal type of more meaningful things, it was kind of a sessionist movement away from the old school artistic movement into the new school artistic movement. And he formed a group, he was part of a group that he actually headed called the Wiener Session Movement. And their I guess, patron goddess, their saint, was Pallas Athene, who's the goddess of war, but she's also the goddess of wisdom, and she's also the goddess of art. So it made sense for them to use her as their patron saint and their god over their group. So that is going to be the next focal point and subject matter for the next fragrance. And it is going to be a feminine fragrance, by the way. It's going to be a strong feminine fragrance. As Athena was this pretty strong presence as far as Greek goddesses were concerned. So it's almost ready. I'm hoping to have it ready by Valentine's Day again. So hopefully we'll have Danye back as we release Pallas Athene.
Okay. And you don't have to go into any details, but do you already have maybe the next 1 or 2 in the series kind of ready, and at least you decided on what the direction is for them?
Well, the thing that's cool too about the Pallas Athene, the artwork that I'm about to use, based off of Gustav Klimt's version, he actually painted Athena several different ways and several different times. But the art that I'm using for this next one, based off of his, it has Hercules in the background, and he's fighting Triton. It's kind of it's kind of a prelude to the next series that it's not related to the artist series. So, they're not connected. The Hercules line, the 12 labors of Hercules, is a totally different series that's going to come out next year, and that's going to be based off the 12 labors of Hercules. So that's kind of why I have this guy right here looking down at everybody. He's going to be joining them in 2022. 22 is going to be an awesome year as far as Argos. Not like last year wasn't awesome. This year wasn't awesome.
Yeah.
But, it's just going to expand the line. With the artist series with Gustav Klimt, a second one from Gustav in the artist series. But even me, I do have plans on releasing a second artist as part of the artist series. And it will be the series 2.
Okay.
It'll be a totally different artist, different artwork, different theme, but it'll still be based, obviously on Greek and Roman mythology, and another artwork and another artist. So I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do the artwork plate for that one. I already have the subject matter, the story, the fragrance, and everything picked out. But I'm just deciding how I want that plate to look. Do I want to hand paint it? Because this is kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Or do I want to do something a little different? Now, when you see the Hercules plate that comes out, that's going to be totally different than the Gustav Klimt and the Artist Series plates. It's going to do its own thing. So, that's one of the things when I initially made this bottle with that recessed area on the front. It gave me the freedom to be able to be artistic in my own way and kind of get my own expression out and do things how I want to and kind of mix it up and make it cool. So you're not always going to get the same appearance on the front of that bottle. Some brands, they have one aesthetic. They might have a different color cap or a different sticker, but these plates, these artwork plates are art in themselves, and it's just another level. It's another sensory experience to kind of get you into that story and that mythology. And it's just a lot of work, but you have something it's almost it is art in itself, the bottle.
Yes, I mean, it's truly representative of what you're trying to say with the fragrances and just the stories and inspirations behind them. It's not just about the scent. The scent is great. Like, that's why we're buying a fragrance. But yeah, I do agree that fragrance is a multi-sensory experience. And when you include the tactile and the visual aspects, just as importantly as the olfactory ones, it just enhances the entire experience. And I think you're nailing that with this custom bottle design you just hold it in the hand. It's ergonomic, but it's hefty. And the aesthetics of the art and everything, you're taking into account all these aspects that could really enhance the experience. So right. I'm sure everyone, even those who haven't tried them, I'm seeing comments of people saying like, man, the flacons are breathtaking. Like, even as collectibles, they look stunning.
Yeah. And they're going to keep evolving, and they're going to keep changing, and we're going to make things fresh, and we're going to, have different series coming out. I'm going to focus on the artist series this next year and the Hercules line to get it started. But, there's 12 labors in the 12 labors a decade to get through that series. And the artist line, who knows when that's going to end? There's so many artists. I want to get into Rubens. I want to get in, I don't want to give too much away, but I want to get into these different artists who have just created amazing works. And the other thing that's really cool too is there's like little hidden things that are in these that I haven't even revealed yet. Little things that are in the background of the artwork and on the boxes and in the plates, and they might pertain to things down the road. So I'm creating not my own universe, because this stuff is already out there, but it's kind of like the own Argos universe, I guess.
Yes.
It all kind of relates back to Argos and the mythology behind the brand.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I cannot wait to see what is in store and how it evolves, as you said, because I'm sure, as a creative director and everything else that you do, which is everything, you have the direction for where you want things to go. But I'm sure just being creative and dealing with art, it informs you as well. So as you move along down the path, you're like, oh, wait, I could try that. Or what if we, it inspires you just as much as you create it. So I think that's the beautiful exchange.
Yeah, I want to create an xray line. I want to create, all these different branches of the Argos lines. So it's going to be amazing in the next 5-10 years to see where these things go. We have the crystals as well. We have the xray already available.
That's right.
So we're going to update that online so that you'll be able to get the Danier pure oil in that as well.
Oh, nice.
So for those people that like to use the oil dabbers or even combine it with the fragrance, that it's just another thing out there that I loved having that option available. It's not available readily for most brands, but to have the pure oil dabber available is great.
Definitely. Totally agree. Yeah. So I think in the description of the video, for those of you on YouTube here, there should be a link to Argos Fragrances to the website. So if you want to start checking out some of these things, that the website should be there. I think we can get close to wrapping up here. And what I was planning to do was, I haven't even chosen the winner yet, but I have all the names like in this wheel on this website, and I just literally click it. So what I want to try to do, I haven't done this yet, is share my screen. Let's see if this works. Okay. I don't know if you can see my screen. It looks like it's, can you see my screen at all?
I see you.
Okay, so it's not sharing.
I have a different experience than the viewers because
no, yeah, I think it there's, wait a minute. Oh, I think we can, here we go. Okay. How about now?
So everybody knows we're giving away one full bottle. It's the international giveaway of the 100 ml, not the 30 ml. So you'll get the full presentation of Danier. I saved one bottle. So
yeah,
I always say my number one bottle.
No, you need one for sure. Yeah, this process of sharing the screen, it looks like it's going to be too convoluted. So you guys are just going to have to trust me. I'm going to spin this wheel, which unfortunately you can't see. And I have like over 100 names in here. There's a lot of people who entered into the giveaway.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that shared that story.
Yeah, I was really surprised and very just kind of, taken aback by how many people were really showing interest. So that was cool. So I'm spinning the wheel now. And I know you guys can't see it. I apologize.
Hear it, I can hear it.
You can hear it spinning. Okay. And you're going to hear all this hoopla.
Down.
Okay. So it chose Jeremy as the winner. Now, Jeremy, I think I know exactly who that Jeremy is. He was over on Instagram. I think he's on YouTube as well. I don't know if he's here now, but I will let Jeremy know that he is the winner of the full bottle of Danier, which is exciting because, again, nobody else can buy it right now. So congratulations, Jeremy, if you see this. But any before we round off here, any kind of last minute things you want to mention or tease? Or
I think keep in mind, February is what we're trying to bring back Danier just before Valentine's Day. We're also trying to coordinate that with the Palace Athene launch, which again is going to be more of a feminine fragrance for the ladies. I think our demographic when we first released the Pour Homme Pour Femme was about 80% male. Now we're almost 50-50. The women are really getting involved in niche perfumery, niche fragrances now. They're collecting, they're kind of branching out, being a little bit more adventurous as far as their fragrance choices. And their collections. Usually women had like 3-4 fragrances that they stuck with their entire life. Now they're starting to rival some of the collections that us guys are amassing. So it's going to be for the ladies. I have no problem with that at all. It's long overdue. The next one for the artist series is going to be kind of unisex. And I think the first one for the Hercules line is going to be a little bit more masculine leaning. Awesome. Obviously, it's going to be based off of the Nemean lion, which is the first labor of Hercules. It doesn't mean we're necessarily going to go in order through the whole series, but I wanted to start off with the Nemean lion. Just a little bit about that one. You're going to get a feeling like you're in the Sahara, you're in the desert where you find a lion. It's kind of dry and arid, but it also going to be kind of a leather-based fragrance because he does wear that lion hide throughout the rest of the labors that he goes through. So I really wanted to kind of follow that story, at least set it off right with the Nemean lion.
That's so cool. Oh, I can't wait. I'm already seeing the imagery in my head, just you describing it. So Christian, thank you so much once again for just, sharing your artistry with us, sharing the stories and the inspiration, giving us some behind the scenes insight into what has created what everyone sees on screen here today. I want to thank you, everyone, for joining the chat. There is quite a bit of you here. We had up to about 100 people for a good while, so I really appreciate all of you guys hanging out. Good to see some familiar names and faces. And yeah, guys, stay tuned. As you heard, a lot of really cool stuff is in the works.
2022, it's going to be a
Yeah.
great year with Argos. Like I said, at least 2 or 3 fragrances coming out this year. We're not going to wait till the last minute, kind of like what we did with Danye. But congratulations to the winners, the 2 sample
Yes.
pack winners, the full bottle winner.
Yeah.
This is the last live that I'm doing for the year, so
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Justin, and tell everybody to have happy holidays and a wonderful Christmas, happy New Year, and everything. I don't know if I'm going to do any more lives for the rest of the year. I've got some traveling and some family stuff I got to do, so I just want to say I appreciate you, Justin. You've been down with Argos since day one. I remember sending you the little samples before I released and Brevito and Bacillo and all those. So I appreciate your time as well and sharing it with your followers and viewers. But 2022 is going to be an amazing year.
I can't wait to see it explode. You're going to take it by storm. So thank you again, Christian. Thank you all for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.